Welcome back to Gear for the Common Game. Today, in deck number 665, we're going to talk about Toski, Bear of Secrets. Now, I am super happy about this one. Last year, at some time, I had got out a stack of, as I was going through cards, got out a stack of squirrel cards, and I said, you know what? They're eventually going to make a legendary squirrel. And when they do, cards are going to spike. So the ones that I didn't have, I went ahead and bought. I missed the window on one. But anyway, this is my squirrel deck. But now the problem with that is there's not a whole lot of actual squirrel cards yet. And the way they actually made Toski doesn't have to be a squirrel deck. This could be, a super go wide deck. But Toski is a 4-mana 1/1 that can't be countered, is indestructible, has to attack. But when a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you get to draw a card. Draw a card for every creature. So, obviously we want tons of squirrels. However, that's not always in the cards. So, let's go through what I'm calling the quote-unquote squirrel cards first. So, Chatter the Squirrel just gets us a token, a second token later. We have Acorn Harvest. We get 2. Deranged Hermit. Not only doesn't make 4 squirrels, but if we can afford to pay that echo, there's a Squirrel Anthem. Squirrel Mob. Yeah, for each other squirrel in play. Squirrel Wrangler. Druid's Call. I like Druid's Call. Is dealt damage. We don't really have a lot of these are kind of questionable cards because I just wanted to play with all the squirrel cards. Kind of like Liege of Hollows. Each player may pay any amount of mana. Squirrel Nest is good. Don't have an Earthcraft to go with it. Acorn Catapult. Deep Forest Hermit. Nut Collector. Beginning of your upkeep, you get a squirrel. And then, Threshold squirrels get really big. Nantuko Shrine. Whenever a player plays a spell. Yeah, I know we're passing out a bunch of squirrels to everybody. But and then the big one here, Earl of Squirrel. I see the silver border, I know. This is deck number 665, and this is the first silver border card y'all have seen in any of my decks. I have always prided myself on making the decks legal, not using any banned cards or whatnot, or silver border. The Earl of Squirrel, when this was printed, my play group Rule Zero'd it, or before Rule Zero even was a thing, that this was the only legal silver border card. I don't know if we just all like squirrels. I don't know what that's all about, but I like it, and this is a house of a card. Of course, that's probably the reason. Squirrel Link is probably the reason why it's silver border. I'll be honest with you. Squirrel Link, ridiculous. Funny, and gameplay-wise, it's just super powerful. But I know, silver border, technically this deck's not legal. Here, inside the Meta Vault, totally legal. Then we have, squirrel-adjacent cards, if you will. This allows your squirrels to come in with a +1/+1 counter. Realm Walker, it's just another squirrel. Yeah, you get to look at the top card of your library, which has some kind of benefit. It's not always going to be a squirrel, because half of those squirrel cards, what I'm calling squirrel cards, weren't actually squirrels. So let's get into the ramp, shall we? We have a Soul Ring, Expedition Map, Mind Stone, Moss Diamond, the usual suspects for artifacts. Then we have the spell-based, 3 visits, search for tomorrow, rampant growth, explosive vegetation, ranger's path. It's a lot of ramp, you're thinking, right? For squirrels? Yeah, I know. Enchantment-wise, we have wild growth. In Search of Greatness is kind of ramp. I don't know. I've got that in there because Toski is actually in the art. So, and then Gaia's Touch, which allows you to play a second land as long as that land's a forest. Pretty good in mono green decks. Card draw, didn't put a whole lot of card draw in because in theory we're attacking with creatures and we're drawing cards that way. But I do have a Harmonize, a Rite of Flourishing, and a Sylvan Library. Now, you saw the creature suite there. There's not a lot. Relies a lot on making tokens, right? So, we're running a second harvest. I figure a board wipe is going to be a thing, so the fresh meat, essentially turning your squirrels into beasts. But I got through the squirrel part because I already had a stack of that sitting on a shelf over here for a while. And I was like, wait a minute. I started looking up cards with squirrels in the art. Come across Might of Oaks with the giant squirrel. Now, this is the only printing. The Urza's Legacy is the only printing of Might of Oaks with the squirrel art. By the way, thank you, Danny. A friend of the show, Danny Mason. He's been part of my play group, been playing Magic with this for 20 years probably. Got me the Might of Oaks. Actually, this was the last card I needed for the deck. But I knew I had to have this version of Might of Oaks, and I was like, well, it's a 4 mana plus 7 giant growth essentially, and I was like, we are playing an indestructible commander, so we're not using up a whole lot of space with the tribe because the tribe's not very deep. I need the Crows and Beast. That's the one I forgot. So what if I do some Voltron action? Might of Oaks, Stonewood Invocation, kind of can also double as a counterspell. Aspect of Hydra, Blanchwood Armor. Right? We're getting there. +1 for each forest. Primal Bellow, Invigorate, Darksteel Axe. Because, an indestructible squirrel wielding an indestructible axe. Sign me up. Grappling Hook, because let's give it double strike. Loxodon Warhammer, and Trample. Let's give it Trample now. Prodigious Growth, +7/+7 in Trample. That's pretty sweet. But really, it's all about the Colossification. It would have been great if this... I think they could print this card like 10 times. I wouldn't even be ashamed of if they did like a Secret Lair and just had a different giant thing on it. Like, here's a giant cat, a giant dog, a giant squirrel, I just want the giant squirrel. But that's our individual pump. And of course, we have a little bit of team pump. We have an Overrun, a Hall of Triumph, and a Triumph of Hordes. Because why not? Squirrels. Let's see. Our unknown category, Reap. I love getting things back because I figure, our creatures are going to die, enchantments we want are going to die, whatever, we're going to want them back. We might want that Triumph back again. We might want that Overrun back again. So Reap, Noxious Revival. Alligator Recovery is just a good old-fashioned good card anyway because it's got that option there, right? A couple of fogs, Actual Fog, and then Obscuring Haze. Now, I want to talk about Winter Blast, because this is, it was reprinted, I don't know. But, Winter Blast, X target creatures become tapped. And Winter Blast deals 2 damage to each of those creatures that have flying. That's whatever. That's probably not going to kill a whole lot unless it's, Pegasi tokens or birds or whatever. But being an X spell that is green that says X target creatures become tapped, you can tap their team and get in for the win. This is a card nobody sees coming. I have never seen this card cast against me. It's a decent card. And yeah, there are cheaper versions other than the Legend version here. It's just this was the one I stumbled across. And that is beautiful art. Now, these next two are a little harsh. Choke. Yeah, I know. Choke is pretty rough. But squirrels are hardcore, man. So hardcore, we play Primal Order. Most mono green decks probably should, to be honest with you. Now, granted, we do have some non-basics in here. I think I've got, 6 non-basics? But it's... I went a little heavier on the land count. I'm at 38, I believe. But I felt that... We'll go through the non-basics, Reliquary Tower, because we're drawing some cards. Feel the Ruin. Probably not going to sit out there for a while. I was able to... I think I played it out. I don't remember what I Feel the Ruin, but I was able to use it, and it mattered. Pendlehaven, which may or may not be a good pick, depending on if you happen to draw the Anthem cards, and if you do that, you're never going to have a 1/1, so it's just a legendary forest that's not a forest. Rogue's Passage is going to, of course, going to help us with the commander damage aspect. Slippery Karst we're just cycling away, and Treetop Village in case we need that emergency blocker. But now, the rest of the removal. Mystic Repeal, great card for those and instant speed. Instant speed is what I love it. Return to Nature, Unravel the Ether, shuffle that Darksteel Forge back in their library. Creeping Mold. Vow of Wilderness. Now, I know it's not removal, but if it's not my problem, it's not my problem. Beast Within. Found a couple of those in that big box video that y'all saw. And lastly, Tsunami. And I know it's an awful lot of island hate between Choke and Tsunami. And destroying the lands is hardly ever a recommended thing, but I'm just saying, squirrels are ruthless. I've been living in my house here for 17 and a half years, and I have what we call mobster squirrels, gangster squirrels, ninja squirrels, yeah. I've seen some pretty weird things in the squirrel verse. But that is it. I personally love squirrels. I always have. Back in the Odyssey era, when they were actually making squirrels, but then they were deemed not serious enough for Black Border Magic, so they stopped making them, and they just recently started back again. Now, I have done something different with this, with my camera on the tripod, so we are going to see how this works. There we go. So, that is deck number 665. We will put Toski there. I should probably put a silver sticker or something on it, denoting it's technically illegal, but I don't know. I like it. And we are tilted. Anyway. I do appreciate y'all watching. Yeah, the next one is pretty much what you think it'll be. So, appreciate it. Y'all let me know what you think. But right now, I gotta get over here to it. We're gonna shuffle and cut.